So, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to the Uyuni Community Hours, March edition. My name is Raul. I am the release engineer, and as usual, your host for this session. The agenda for today, I will speak a little bit of the next Uyuni release. Then we have Pablo, one student that is collaborating now with us. He will be talking about VEX consumption in Uyuni. And last but not least, Carlo will be talking about Uyuni SonarCloud error reduction. So without further ado, let's start with the beginning. This part that I will be presenting about the next release of Uyuni. So the first question you might be asking is when, because it's been already some time since we don't have a new release, and now the schedule is pointing to April, and I can also say that this release is still going to be based on top of SL, of Lib Micro 5.5. We are still not doing the switch to Tumbleweed because mostly we are not ready to provide a migration for the people that were running it on Lib Micro. Um, I can also say from the discussion that we had about choosing the next validated operating system for Uyuni that we have community users that confirm that they have been running the containers on, I don't fully remember whether it was Debian or Ubuntu. So this shouldn't be really be a big annoyance in case somebody wants to install it in on Tumbleweed already. This should be very well be working. So apart from that, some highlights that I can confirm are uh, like the SL Micro 6.1 support, so yet another operating system to be supported in Uyuni. Mac-based terminal naming options, so this is something related to retail. POS image templates updates. Um, RPMs for the container images. This is something that I am building myself. This will make the air gap installations easier as uh, what they are today. And together with this, we will be providing some new documentation about this, and of course any possible patches or security fixes that have been published since the last release. I have some more things that I am writing in the release notes, but I am not sure about what is going to be merged on time and what is not, and I didn't want to write something that maybe doesn't show up in the next release. But for example, I am pretty sure that the health check tool is going to be included by the time that this is going to be there. So you could take this as a possible thing coming in the next release. And the same applies to a few more other things related to Uni and to have to what is being merged into the master branch that we have locked for a long time, and now a lot of things are really getting merged there. So yes, stay tuned, and hopefully we can provide the update for the new release very soon. So would anyone have a question about this? Let me see the chat, the list of attendees. I don't see anything. So I think we can jump to the next topic that would be from Pablo, VEX consumption in Uyuni. So Pablo, the stage
Yeah,
is yours.
yeah. Let me share my screen. Okay. So now you can see the presentation.
Eh,
I think so. No? Yeah. So first of all, about me, I'm last year IT engineering student at Cordoba's University, and I will developing my final degree project in the context of Uyuni. I am really into cybersecurity, so you will see this project is I'm really loving it. Yeah, I usually play CTFs if you know, it's like cybersecurity competitions. You will find me in many of them. And I also a basketball referee. I'm now in a hotel working in a championship. And yeah, I leave here my contact for anyone if you want to talk or anything. There are my email, Gitter, and GitHub. Yep. Let's start with the project, which is making Uyuni capable of consuming VEX files for CV scanning. First of all, what is VEX? And it stands for Vulnerability Exploitability Exchange. Yeah, it's a standard that makes business capable of communicating if a component is exploitable. It's not here. It's not the same as SBON because software bill of materials is just a list with all the installed packages, versions, and simpler is like the only the things that are in a system. And VEX is a standard that works together with an SBOM to show which vulnerable components are actually exploitable. You can see it like think about you have a vulnerable Node.js version, but the vulnerability relates on a specific function. So if you are not using that specific function, your code is not vulnerable. So VEX will say, no, it's not vulnerable. And you won't try to fix a vulnerability that is not exploitable. Here there is the structure of a VEX file. Like the vendor will share these files to say which vulnerabilities are exploitable or not, and it composed by a document which is like the metadata about the actual VEX file. Then a product tree describing all the products list, all the components that are described, not regarding if it's exploitable or not exploitable, just everything. And then like the vulnerabilities part, where it's like the actual information about the vulnerabilities, and then inside node product status and remediation, the information about the exploitability of that vulnerability. If in any moments there is any question or something, you can stop me and ask. I'm not gonna explain so much, but like the idea is to enhance the CV scanner with this process. Is just taking the spawn list from the database in Uyuni, check if a vulnerability is present, and then search for VEX data that says whether that vulnerability is affected, not affected, and the justification or remediation steps to justify it. Yeah, then if it's not necessary, don't do anything. Um, then like the actual process for now relies on OVAL, that is another vulnerability sharing standard. But it doesn't, as I said previously, it doesn't say whether a vulnerability is exploitable or not. It just says this vulnerability is present in your component, but it's not saying if the component is actually or not exploitable. So the idea with this project is to make another module here that is first called and tries to assess that vulnerability, and if it's not present that file or something, it will fall back to the old system. We'll say have no more explanation, but for this module there is another processing, downloading, and parsing module that will download the VEX files from the vendors, will store it in the database if it's necessary, and then the scanner, this part, will use that information to make the scanning process. I recommend you to read carefully the RFC. I live here the RFC for the previous system. And I recommend you to read my RFC and leave any comment. For the moment, where I am working on the database part, on downloading, parsing, and storing the VEX information, and I am trying to figure out how to actually store it in the database. Yeah, any contribution will be very helpful. Feel free to write me through Twitter or through mail. Maybe mail is more direct. Yeah, that's all. If you have any question or any concern about the about this project, feel free to ask now.
Okay, thanks a lot, Pablo.
Yeah,
So,
thanks to you.
is there any question for Pablo about this new stuff for Uni? Let me fetch
Don't
the
think so.
chat.
Yeah, the chat.
There is nothing, and I don't see any hand raised. So I think we can go to the next presentation, and maybe somebody thinks of anything at the end of the session. We have also some more time for questions, so maybe somebody can follow up. So thanks a lot for this, Pablo, and yeah,
Thanks to you.
hope you enjoy working on this. So next session is going to be by Carlo, and it's going to be about Uyuni SonarCloud error reduction. So Carlo, stage is yours.
Hello, can you see the screen?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, good. So good afternoon and welcome. My name is Carlo Della Giusta and I'm a software engineer at SUSE. And today I'm going to present a kind of an idea on about how to reduce the errors in the Uyuni instance of SonarCloud that we have. First of all, what is SonarCloud or SonarCube? Well, it's an open source web platform solution. It can be both self-managed. In this case, we talk of SonarCube, or it can be cloud-based. That's SonarCloud. And in both cases, both solutions give the same features. SonarCloud is a static code analysis engine which is basically aimed at catching issues that can result in bugs, vulnerabilities, or code smells, so to prevent code errors. It supports more than 30 languages and frameworks, and SonarCube for IDE, which was formerly called SonarLint, is a free IDE extension that integrates very well with IntelliJ and Visual Studio Code, and it allows to find and fix coding issues in real time, more or less just like a spell checker or just like other tools do, basically. An interesting aspect is that for any found issue, it also gives you a kind of a contextual guidance to understand why there is an issue and how to fix it. IntelliJ IDEA specific development instructions I just put them in the wiki, and so you can use them to set up your SonarCube for IDE integration. And since Sonar Cloud is entirely free for all open source projects, well, we have an instance of that for free at Uyuni at the URL that you can see shown here, where you can log in with your GitHub credentials. What is the current situation of the static analysis for Uyuni? Well, at the moment, there are currently around 7,390 issues. My understanding is that there were many more in the past, but the number has been severely reduced, thanks to the word of some people here at SUSE. And here you can see the number of issues. So issues means potential errors or code smells divided by programming language. Well, this number is simply unbearable, and it makes this tool almost useless to be used in this way. So the main idea is then to eliminate, or at least to strongly reduce, the number of issues of errors to a manageable number. This brings some advantages. For example, we can sanitize the legacy code and we can keep new code under control. In fact, if we spot that we spot out that new code can introduce issues, and this is very easy with the SonarLint directly in the IDE, the code can be modified directly by the author, exactly with the same procedure we are currently using for example, for check style. Of course, eliminating or at least strongly reducing errors can also facilitate a thing that we already thought about, which is the enforcement of the SonarCloud check before merging new code. At the moment, there is a limitation to the chunks of legacy code that are already have Sonar issues, so it's not being enforced, but we are planning to do it in the future. And also, there's another point, which is that a high number of issues can make quite difficult to spot them on the fly. In fact, you did notice, didn't you? You may say, what? Well, in my previous slide, the numbers were lower, and it's more difficult to spot a rapid increase or decrease that if we were starting from a zero situation. So if you confront these numbers with this one, it's quite difficult to spot that they are different. If it was zero, well, it's much easier to say that it has been raised by 100 or few number which is close to zero, basically. So now the point is, how do we eat the elephant? How can we achieve this objective? Well, of course, one slice at a time. So my proposal on how to slice this kind of huge elephant is the following one. Well, first of all, let's start considering one programming language at a time. Then for each language, let's remove SonarCloud rules that we don't think it's worth applying. And from there, we can tackle and solve issues rule by rule. And in this way, we can spot good first issues that can be easily shared with the community. And in fact, we had already someone a student in the community that actually applied and solved one of these rules. So let's consider one by one. First of all, let's go for one language at a time. I decided to start with Java just because I don't know Python or TypeScript, and also because it has the highest number of issues. And this will allow to gather some experience that can be used in the next languages, basically. I will need some help to spot some Python and TypeScript experts in the community just to get in touch with for the next steps, of course. For example, for what regards HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, the number of issues is so low that we can sanitize them directly just to avoid to have some noise around. And the example is that HTML errors have already been eliminated. They were all in one license file, and we discovered also that we are not even using that library anymore, so we removed the file straight away. Another important step is to remove rules that are not worth applying. So why should we spend some energy to fix issues that probably are not even worth applying? I identified for this reason 11 rules in Java that are potentially removable, and I created a poll for each one to keep them or to remove them. So they will be, if we decide to keep them, they will be fixed lately. If we decide to remove them, they are not used anymore, not in legacy nor in future code. Just to give you an example, one rule says loops should not contain more than a single break or continuous statement. You may ask yourself why. So is it worth applying that or not? Is it a code smell, or is it something that has to do with style? Please, I am making a plea on all people experiencing Java. Please have your saying on the rules. It's very important, because having a numerous poll is fundamental to reach consensus on what to keep and therefore fix, or what we can consider unwanted noise or a too picky rule, something like that. So each rule poll reports the explanation of the rule, a link to the rule, and a link to the issues found in our source code, so that one can see whether the issue lies directly on the code that we have under hand. Once we have defined what rules we want to keep, then solving each rule, solving the bugs or the errors or the code smells rule by rule is an approach that it's easier, since it is focused on one type of solution only. And this means that the developer applies only one solution multiple times. The reviewer has an eye focused on one pattern only, and this approach is much quicker than, for example, solving issues if you consider them file by file, because you can potentially scope among a greater number of rules. And for this reason, I made an analysis, and this analysis resulted in a spreadsheet. And the spreadsheet indicates the issue number, a short description, the quantity of issues in our code base, and whether it's a good first issue or not. And it's, of course, available to the community to see. Where to find everything? Well, everything, of course, is available on GitHub under the Uyuni project. In particular, there is a kind of main page which has been named Epic, although we don't have epics there. And this main page contains the links to the analysis spreadsheet I mentioned, the links to the 11 polls about removing the 11 potential candidate Java rules, the links to the all open pull requests and all open issues that are there. And one thing which is very important is that we newly created a label named SonarCloud Error Reduction. And please do not forget to mention it if you open an issue or a pull request, because this is helpful to identify issues or pull requests which are related to this kind of thing. Well, basically, that's all from my side. Thanks a lot for your attention. If you have any questions, I will be more than happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you, Carlo. Let's see. I don't see any question. I don't see any hand that is rising. So we can go to the general questions and answers from my side. Thanks a lot, Carlo. Is there any question, anything you would like? Oh, Christian, yeah, go ahead.
Hi there, everybody. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, and even see
Awesome.
you.
Awesome. So thanks a lot for all the information. And I was just wondering, I recently did a new installation for a customer, and I remember that we had that poll a couple of weeks ago regarding the new operating system for Uyuni. And I think Micro OS and OpenSUSE Tumbleweed were the two options, and I think Tumbleweed slightly won the poll, and right beside that, Micro OS was the next suggestion to pick if you go for a new installation. So I picked Micro OS because I really like the immutable flavor of Leap Micro. And I had enormous networking problems and wasn't able to fix it. And I was just curious if somebody from this round maybe already gave it a try and tried to run Uyuni on base of Tumbleweed or Micro OS.
So what I did test, I didn't test the container installation, but I did test that the RPMs were could be installed, and I stopped at that point.
Okay. Because I was able to get Uyuni running, but not at every boot. So sometimes it took several boots until the container was able to communicate with the network, and I was able to reproduce it. So I did it on another machine, and I also created an issue on GitHub. Just pasted the URL in the chat. I was just curious if this is just a me issue or somebody also had the same experience with it. Looks like maybe a problem in the operating system stack. So maybe it looks like so it's working from within Podman. So maybe it's something between routing the Podman traffic outside the container, something like that. So it could be an upstream operating system bug.
Okay, I can see that it got some attention, your issue, and some developers have been pinged half an hour ago. And we have a comment in the chat that someone has run it in containerized Micro OS.
No, great to hear.
I will, okay, yeah, the link is here. And Don is running it on lib 15.6.
To be honest, because it was a customer and I had to get it running, I decided to go for OpenSUSE Leap Micro 6.1 because they already had some experience with Leap 15.5, so they didn't need to learn something new, and that just works like a charm, as mentioned in the poll. So, I mean, it's basically you need to have a proper Podman version running and some other things like the MGR ADM and CTL CLI. So that was working in that case. So.
Yeah. So I cannot promise when or even if, but I have opened your issue and I have seen that you give detailed steps to reproduce it, and I can try to reproduce it. I have to continue with the release of the next version of Uyuni, so I cannot promise when, but yeah, I will try to look into this. And yeah, and as said, maybe you can expect some answers from the developers soon.
No worries, no worries. I just wanted to check whether it's a me issue, but some people got it working, so maybe it's just a very curious bug that occurred when I did the installation that week. So that could also be possible. Thanks for your effort, anyhow.
Okay, and the person from the community that said about MicroOS is OpenSUSE MicroOS. He wanted to
Yeah,
stress that.
lovely.
So thanks a lot for your experience and yeah for this heads up for this issue, Christian. So is there anything else, not only questions, anything you want to share, like this thing that I found out and Julio found out of the community running it already on Debian or Ubuntu and so on? Anything else? Or even if you have a longer topic, please remember that anyone can present here at the community hour. So if anyone reaches out to me and tells me about a possible session, I am more than happy to book a slot for anyone in the next edition. So let me see if I can see any hands being raised or anything. I don't see anything else. So uh, and okay, there's an interview from Don and Stefan in Focus on Linux. Very nice.
Yeah, we have been to SUSECon this month, and we had the joy of talking to Don Vosberg and Stefan Belat, and Don is also part of the call, as I saw. So, if you didn't make it to a SUSECon and you want to hear what might be coming with SUMA 5. Or sorry, SUSE Multi Linux Manager 5.1, I know, and I think everybody knows in this audience. But in case you do not know, feel free to listen to it. It was awesome. Talking to Don and Stefan is always a pleasure.
Okay, thanks a lot. I can see Don.
Yeah, thank you, Christian.
Okay, anything else? Yeah, there are some suggestions from Eric already, and yeah, we can follow up with that. So, anything else? Anything to bring up? Any topic? Any question? Any request for Uni? Okay, then if not, I think we can have a shorter than usual session. I can give you back half an hour of your time. Thanks a lot for attending and see you in the next edition. I'm going to stop the recording. Have a nice day and see you soon.